Alright, well, I know this isn't really much for a third follow-up video, and it's kind of dumb to do a third follow-up video, but I wanted to show you how I terminate. So this is just one way to terminate. You can use ferrules if you want. I went ahead and braided the very ends. So, and this is what I would do for like a high-end home theater client. And then I just terminated with some 8-gauge forks that you get from Metra. You can buy those on Amazon. So, but that's it. That's done for that. So that's for Carlos. Him and I do trades, and so that's kind of cool. But I'll go ahead and turn this video also into a follow-up with the Power HX2 motor, which, by the way, uses quarter 20s. That's the original bolt. Little short guys, which I think that would be considered half-inch, because on a flat head you measure from the top of the head, not from under the head. Let's see, 110 millimeter on the OD of the gap, which is the ID of the top plate, also known as a washer. ID is 99.4 millimeter, which is ID of the gap, OD of the pole. Remember, this is a T-yoke. It comes down to the back. That's this steel here is the same as this steel here. And then this steel is a separate piece. This is the positive, this is the negative, okay? Got all that. This is the coil. This is the standard coil. Let's see if I can find the part number. There's the standard part number. That is built by Precision Econowind out of Florida. And that is the standard part number. It is an open part number. That is the original part number that Rockford used to use when they used to make their coils here in America. Now they make their subs completely over in Asia. This is the aluminum version. It's terminated to copper strips. These are nickel-plated copper strips. And that's so you don't have to use aluminum solder when soldering. You just use regular solder to the copper strips. The original version, which I think dates back to 1999 or even 2000, of the Power HX2, or no, actually it's older than that, because that's when they came out with the T1 and the T2 series. The original was a heavier copper coil, and they were able to get higher sensitivity numbers by using a lighter coil. And they also realized they didn't have to go down to 20-25 hertz or something like that. Again, there's no music down there, so what's the point of having a woofer play that low, especially for car audio? Home theater, I can see a maybe, but I still don't recommend going that low for even home theater. Again, tactile transducers from 0 hertz, whatever that is, 0 hertz all the way up to about 40-45 hertz is good for a tactile transducer, also known as a bass shaker. And you can get those from Clark Synthesis, Dayton Audio, or also Aura. And don't get the regular bass shaker, get the Bass Shaker Pro, which has the nice big heat sink on it. All right, so that's a mouthful. So this is your coil. A lot of people, I get these motors, they, I guess, have won a lot of contests for SPL. Good job. I don't give a shit. Typically what somebody like David Moore from PSI does is they take this regular coil and then they just put a really stiff spider on it. The spider on the original frame uses a 8.5-inch spider. The landing is just slightly oversized. You can use a standard 8-inch, and then like typical is like this one, where it's 8-inch on the OD and then 3-inch on the ID, and then just trim the inner diameter to be 4-inch, and then presto, it works. So, because a lot of times a spider like that is not available with leads, especially when you get from a traditional distributor provider like MWA Speaker Parts, Making Waves, out of Tucson. You can also get this from Lord of Bass at thelordofbass.com. So let's see. A lot of people want to put the TI frame on here. Don't. It doesn't justify the excursion. If you do, then you're ending up with like a Wolfram AG version 1, which is where it has the TI frame, but the winding height isn't any more than about 40-45 millimeter, and so it's not going to really move. It doesn't justify using a big 10-inch spider. So let's verify that real quick. It's 50. It's 50 millimeter, so it's about right around 2 inches. I just wanted to show the standard TCSounds TC9, which is a standard 40. Yeah, that's a 40 millimeter. So 40 millimeter, 50 millimeter. There you go. So, and then it sits in about right there, and it just goes up and down. That's the movement of that. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you about this? Oh, the bolt hole circle is a little oversized. Let's see if I can get a measurement on that. Just going to eyeball it. looks like right around 150 millimeter, I'm guessing. So you can also measure, another way to measure is on the frame. So the machine shop guys do it different than I do. So, and I'm pretty sure they're right. What they do is they measure the hole, which these should be just right, just a little bit bigger than 1/4 inch, because the bolt is 1/4 inch. And then they measure edge to edge and then minus whatever it is. But you can also measure edge to edge, meaning the right edge to the right edge. So, but they say to measure center to center, and I'm like, well, how do you know it's center? So that's the part I don't like. So, but yeah, we're reading 151 and a half edge to edge. So, which of course, this is probably Imperial, or SAE as they say, and that probably comes out to a nice even 6 inches. There you go. So it comes out to a 6-inch hole pattern is on the Power HX2. This is the frame. Again, it's an oversized 8-inch landing, but the 8-inch spider can fit right on the edge. And then what I do is I use a clamp ring to clamp it down, just to make sure that that CA joint, there you go, see? That CA joint is nice and tight, as little glue as possible. But what's funny is you got to put on excess glue in order to make sure that it's saturated in the spot, and then you squeeze out the rest, and then really what's holding it is that tiny little thin piece of squished glue. I think that was it. The slugs on this one, where did I just fucking move my ruler? If you notice, that's how my whole shop is. They should be 1 inch, and they are, which is also 25.4 millimeter. And again, well, these are probably, because this is the later version, I'm imagining these were probably sourced from China. Not that there's any different. And, you know, like I've shown you guys, I have the Crucible. There's a company out of Kentucky. I'm not sure if they still make magnets, but at least not for the speaker industry. Probably, maybe for Eminence occasionally, but mostly probably for larger applications. Because to make magnets, and also from powdered iron and things like that, it requires a lot of electricity, like an arc furnace. So if you don't know what an arc furnace is, look it up. So anyways, 2 inches of magnet, or 50 millimeter, however you want to look at it, approximately 52 millimeter, and 1/2 inch top plate, pretty standard 1/2 inch, which is about 13 millimeter. There's really not the excursion. So if you went with a longer coil, which, shit, let me grab mine. All right, so this is mine. So nobody had made these before me. I came up with them, which was a 60 millimeter version. You cannot, well, I don't want to say you can't. I don't recommend, right? I'm not going to tell you can't punch a baby. I'm saying I don't recommend it. This is the 60 millimeter version. You can put it in there if you do a bias, meaning it's not even. Even is about right there. And then you only have, see, you only have about 3/4 of an inch before it hits the bottom. So what you have to do is what's called a bias, where you bias it out like that. And then that way it takes longer for it to hit the bottom. But then it comes out like you still get the excursion. That's one way to do it. I don't recommend it, but it will work in a jam if you, and again, the performance actually won't be any different between the two. So, but people think that because this one's taller, you're going to get more excursion. But in this case, it's limited to the depth. And that's one of the reasons why I do triple and quad stack and 5 stack and whatever. I want that availability for a longer coil and more stroke. So, but this one I made for the T2, the version from, I guess it would be about 2000 to about 2015. And I think I said in another video, I was thankful that Wayne and Drew, when they designed the new T2, the one from 2015 to present, it uses the same gap dimensions. It doesn't quite use the same coil. Let me show you that. So here's that one. So really big spider, but this one actually looks like 70 millimeter. Let's see. No, it's 80 millimeter. So it's an 80 millimeter tall. This is for the new T2. This is their version. This is the single. Looks like It could be 4-layer single 2. I have 2 of the motors there, the 16 and the 13. I'm actually going to turn those into 24s for a local nightclub. And of course they do this weird thing with the tinsels. I don't know if you can see that in the light. It's probably just cheaper than doing it the other one. It looks like a 12-inch sweater. Again, not that it uses it. They limit it by the surround that they use, which is not fantastic. As you know, that's the thing that rips. I wish they would have used a rubber one. I think they use a rubber one on their 19-inch, which is their T3. So, but thank you for Jose Jalapeno for bringing me the dead ones. They will be much appreciated. Let me show you that 24 before I go. Oh, here's the cone. TurboSounds. It actually is a poly. It's probably a vacuum molded 24-inch cone, and that looks like a 6-inch coil. Of course, look at the wind height. You're talking about 1 inch, maybe 3/4 inch. So it has a lot of cone area, but it doesn't move a lot of excursion. And so we're going to change that by using the 60mm coil I showed you, this one, and one of those motors. So, and then let me show you the frame before I go. Here's the frame all dolled up. I forget who, I think it was Hayden that cleaned this weekend. So, and it's actually really heavy. So, and you can see their magnet system. That's a good top plate and bottom plate. It just needs the pole extended, and then I can use Neo or whatever the fuck I want to use on it. And that's what I'll recycle for it. And then I only charged them, I think I'm going to charge them like $9.50 to do the conversion. And I still got to do, the 24-inch cones only come with a 5-inch neck. And so you got to use an adapter. Let me show you that adapter real quick. I'm not seeing any, but basically what we found out, and this is, shit, I just forgot his name. Clintimus. Clint figured it out that this has a 4-inch ID, and this is the DD spacer, which is very similar to the Sundown one, but the Sundown one actually has 2 sides. This only has 1 side. It has 2 sides, and then what we do is we modify it to be the adapter, and then you epoxy it into place, and it works really well. So, but you need something to sort of fill in the gap between the OD of the coil and the ID of the cone neck. So does it make sense? Hope it makes sense. Makes sense, everybody. I love you. Bye.